There we are. Welcome back to the Madden God. Very happy to have you here. I'm Max, your host, and I'm here with Roxanne. Hello, Roxanne, and welcome.
Hello, Max. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
New episode of the Madden God. Here we are. 1 week later, and we turn 3.
We turned 3 episodes. Yeah. Oh my God, my nipples are hard. Oh shit.
Yeah, isn't it?
What do you want to talk about today?
Well, there are. I think we have really many possible topics um, to tell you the truth. Vibration is what is really my favorite topic at the moment because I'm going through the discovery of uh, vibration in my experience in a way that I was not expecting so far, really so deep and so um, how much that impact decisions and thought and all of that and choices and where we go. So that is take quite not taking over, but it's one of the main topic for me right now. I'm realizing because I'm now taking back everything to that. So I'm conscious and aware of uh, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, how I'm doing it, and then I'm relating to that, and I'm relating to the choices and to what happens and how it happens. And I have to say, it's really, I realize it's a like gymnastic, or like it's getting into the habit of doing that and then observing and realizing what is that I'm doing and what is that is happening.
So, some from clarity for our listeners, what are you talking about vibration wise? Why don't you clarify that for them? Because let's not go the assumption people know what vibration is. I mean, we've been pulling ourselves out of the 60s and 70s like good vibes. But vibration is valid and it needs to be understood, I think. So what are you saying? You said a lot there. You said a great amount. But now can you apply it
Yes.
to maybe something that'll give someone some insight to what vibration is?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So vibration is energy. I'd say at its core, that's the first thing to say, energy. But it's also our reality. What is our reality made of? Energy, vibration. What are we doing? We are vibrating because we are energy. So everything that we are comes from that, basically. So when I am creating my reality, I am interpreting vibration. Therefore, when I am vibrating in a certain way, I am what I'm doing is that I'm creating, but that vibration as, let's say, a certain level. And so what I'm creating next, it's the match of that, or I am the match of that, and the next thing is the match or the evolution of that. But
Okay, real quick.
basically, it's
Match of
creation.
what? What is that? Vibration. Where's it coming
Yes,
from?
it's coming
It's
from
being
me,
attracted.
the creator.
Let's
Attracted.
not forget
Yes.
how they get vibrations. Look, if you're vibrating a frequency of A and you are repeating A over and over again, your reality is only going to attract A. Until you shift your awareness, you start vibrating in a different frequency. Let's call that frequency B. You're going to attract realities that match B. So tie it all together. Very good. Keep going.
Yes. And so as I am at the center of that, let's say I am the center of that vibration, vibrating, obviously,
Constantly.
uh, constantly, yes. I cannot stop vibrating because that's what I'm made of, right? That's energy. We keep staying there, but because that's what we are. So I when we say I'm the creator and I am creating my reality, that's basically what I'm doing. I am vibration, interpreting vibration, attracting it, and so as I'm doing that from the standpoint of view of the creator, that's what it is, vibration. And from the point of view of me, the created fractal human that is experiencing the vibration, I am receiving that through the attraction, through the interpretation, and I'm reacting to it. I am giving back, some sort of giving back, a vibration of resistance, acceptance, whatever. That is the interpretation. So that then, that's A, and then the next, according to my reaction to that, I'll have A, B, C, or whatever. But in this moment, the way I am interpreting, reacting to that, so the way I'm vibrating right now is going to give me access to A, B, C, D, or whatever. However, there's gonna be a more likely A than B according to what I'm vibrating right now.
Well, there were some key words you said in there, and I want you to point them out. You're not necessarily reacting, not all times. Sometimes you're expressing. For me, the difference in that is relationship. So if I react to the outside world and I react in a mannerism of reaction, an automatic built-in vibratory reaction to reality as a response, then that reaction stays within a frequency. It's not a defined frequency. The reality outside of me, I react as in a negative nature or in a positive nature, is in and of itself a reaction, because that's what my interpretation says, right? So what happens if you're
Yes.
not reacting? What are you doing? You're interpreting, then what are you doing? You're expressing. What's the difference? The difference for me, this isn't standard by any means or scripture, the difference is expression of that interaction of that moment is not reaction, it's truth, mine, myself, my I am, my persona, right? So
Yes.
you're interested in the idea of vibration and its inner working and see how it literally creates your reality. Because reality isn't created through the
Yes.
mind. The mind is a secondary thought of the now. It is a reaction to the now. The unwilling of yourself, the fractal, unwilling to be the will of the now, the passionate that self of the now, is unimaginable how much we hold that self. We are unwilling to be the will of the now. We are willing to be the mind, the reaction, the cycle, the letter A over and over again. But to move on to B, we have to be willing to take a chance on ourself, our intuition, our natural reaction self. How many of you guys out there says, "Oh, I wanted to say this, but I didn't"? That's you going with the reactionary will instead of the willing of, "I'm going to say this. I don't care what it does. I don't care what it says. I have to do this." That's vibration, because reality doesn't work on vibration of positive and negative. Reality is unconditional. Creation is unconditional worthiness, the self-discovery, the self of vibrational recognition. And that's what you're implying there, correct? I'm asking.
Yes. And Yeah, an example, you know about this, but an example that I can give that is that I have been fully aware of the how I was vibrating in that moment. It's my experience with the public transportation when I took the metro and I forgot to buy the ticket. And when the person in charge of checking the tickets came to see if I had the right one and I was provided with one, etc. So I reacting in that moment, and and as I realized, oh, I don't have the ticket, I forgot. I instantly said, oh, I booked one in that moment. However, when the guy came and checked and says, well, you booked your ticket, but you ought to buy it before you enter the transportation device or the metro or whatever. So I received the fine. So after getting mad at the situation and all of that, and checking into that, I realized one thing, and I saw that from the point of view of vibration. When I realized that they were checking the tickets and that I didn't have one, my reactionary self did what? I booked a ticket. Why did I book a ticket instead of just waiting for the guy and tell the guy, sorry, I forgot? I felt that I had done something wrong and that I was guilty in that moment. So my vibration in that moment was guilty. So consequentially, the next moment I received the fine. So you see, that's exactly what I see there, right? I'm vibrating and I'm giving out a vibration of guilty. So the only thing the guy can do is punish me. So this is what I'm referring to. So if I had chosen a different vibration, a vibration of self empowerment, or a vibration of, okay, this happened, but all right, we'll getting through that, then it will have happened something else. Maybe still the fine, or maybe something else. So maybe it will have said, okay, it's all right, we buy the ticket and we let go. Other choices would have been available, but in that moment, as I was vibrating guilty, then the fine was the most likely outcome from the situation. So that's how I became even more aware of how my vibration in this now is going to impact my next now.
So let me ask you this. Is it a consequence from this now that you paid the fine?
It's a
No, no, no,
choice.
no. The guy
It's
came
more.
and you said, listen to your own words. You said it was
Yes.
consequential. Was it? Because you're looking at yourself as a
Yes.
bad thing because you made a choice. And then you're using hindsight as a valuable tool, which is fine. You can use hindsight as a valuable tool, right? To see, wow, I can look at that as consequence because I should have known better, but you didn't know better. You couldn't have known better. It's impossible to know better because there's no knowing the unknown until you experience it, and then you have opportunity, evolution,
Yes. Yes. I see
representation of
what you
worthiness.
mean. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you did there. It gave you an opportunity to see yourself. It's not the fact that you paid a fine. Abundance is like air. Money's like air. It's like leaves on the tree. It's just a thought vibrating into a frequency of representation. So it's not that you're lacking the
Yes.
money.
No. No.
It's not
Absolutely.
that you're lacking
Hmm.
the money. What you're looking at is, look at this entire relationship I had with a singular moment. I felt guilt. I reacted. I did all these things. What am I looking at now? Not what I did wrong. What am I looking at now? I'm exposing to myself my willing frequency of reactive interaction according to the fractal that I am my truth. Do you see that?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes. Yes.
Now
Yes.
you see that.
Yeah.
Now you can teach that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's well. You see that so wonderfully, but that's what it is. It's not to say I ought, as you say. It's not that I ought to have known better to behave better. It's not absolutely not
Good.
that. It's, as you said. It's now I'm observing that and I understanding the implication, or how that
How
went
it played out.
on,
As
right?
simple
How
as
that
that. How it
happened,
played
how
out.
it
Yeah.
played out. Yeah, it's the observational self saying, oh look, right, you see, you're mad at that, right, and
In
this,
this now, you're
and then
looking
that.
at your anger. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's also another
but
side of this
but
representation. You can't bullshit yourself.
mhm.
The next time you can't
Yeah,
prepare
no.
yourself to make the right choice because you're making the right choice out of lack. You always have to be the self of you are, that you are in the now. Later on, that self might be looking as to you, the new self you birthed because of that choice. You're looking back at that self as a reactionary self. But without that choice of the reactionary self, there's no recognition from the self you are now. But if you go in thinking and preparing yourself in life to avoid the negative consequences, then you're still vibrating in lack. You're still vibrating as the human. You're going to stay in the frequency of A because that's the cycle of that frequency, is never to be its known self. Always to cycle its known self and never be its unknown self, because the unknown self is where you're going home to the self that you forgot, to the I am, to the creator
Yeah.
that, let's say, hey man, let's go to humanity and forget things.
Yes, we can try, but the actual thing is that uh, planning is not working. If I try to plan my way of being, saying, oh, now I'm going to empower myself, and if someone tell me this or someone does that, or if I hear that word or whatever, then I will react in this way, I will say this in this way, so that I empower me, and so I'm avoiding anything that could come out of that,
Yes,
and I'm controlling that, then I come top of
which
it,
is,
I will
what
crush
is it?
everyone.
That's vibration. That's vibration
Yes.
itself. That intention, all that things, that's still vibration. Creation, vibration, reality doesn't speak English. It doesn't speak positive. It doesn't speak negative. It speaks the idea of the worthiness of yourself. That's who you need to get to know. You need to know your behavior. You
Mhm.
need to know your beliefs. Vibration will take you there. That's the vibrational mastery. That's the vibrational tactician we understand ourselves to be. Then, when you understand it in its fullness, you can really actually bear witness to your own attractions in the liking of your vibratory state, not in the appearance of the energetic mind interpreting the finites of what's supposed to happen. You can have those in human life. Oh, sure, you can set goals and you can do those things and you can plan out your life. Go ahead. That's perfect. That's a reality of human. For the awakener, it's allowing yourself to know the internal vibration, and then you can see how it literally works from the intricacies of your own domain, your own kingdom. And it's fantastic.
Yes.
Never discount vibration.
Uh,
It's everything.
yeah, it's a yes, discovery of the self, the self, the reactionary self, all the self that is perceiving certain things, expressing certain things, etc., etc. And so that, yeah, it's a huge discovery. And for me, that is uh that is now getting to know me in that way. And as you said, it's absolutely something that you cannot, you have to be true with. You cannot play with that. It's absolutely ruthless in its truth, in its
Yes.
being.
If you control it, you're just using your memory, the memory of life, the memory of a human. That's a very valid created universe. You can have that. But if you are awareness of your own cycles, then you can see you're controlling your reality within that frequency band. And if you change your relationship to reality, make your vibratory choices, your willing choices of the unknown self, then your reality is going to change. You will attract different opportunities, different air atmospheres of change, different choices of the self. But the thing is, like you said, you got to be brutally honest with yourself. It is relentless and reckless and ruthless. Creation doesn't give a shit about you because you literally are creation. You. You're indestructible.
Oh yeah.
Forever being of awareness. This is just an experience of one reality, one simple point of view. But in it, there's a vast world to
I
explore.
I had a glimpse into that aspect of uh, the creator doesn't care about what is happening, or it, realizing the enormity of the being that we are, with all the experiences, all the nows, all that there is, and realizing that what I perceive of myself is what I perceive, but that's only my memory, and that memory is so tiny in regards of all the moments that I'm experiencing right now, and not just all of me. So then I realize how, well, then obviously why a moment will be highlighted more than another, or why will I focus just in this moment when actually all is there, and the abundance is there, and all everything is there, everything is already. So yeah, the creator doesn't care, but it's not that don't care that is human, is simply that
Well, it doesn't care.
there
It
is no
doesn't
need.
care not because of vast numbers. It doesn't care because it doesn't have concern of loss of itself. The creator is one and all.
Yeah.
There's no extinguishing the creator. All we do is change. That's all we do. We just change our realities with our points of view. Our points of view give us the creation as singularity. So let's say you think of one thing one way, and the guy next to you thinks of the same situation another way. Isn't that 2 points of change about creation? So creation is constantly changing because everyone is seeing something uniquely unto themselves. Uniquely. That in and of itself is creation knowing itself in the unknown forever. Everyone is always interpreting the unknowable, constantly becoming known to themselves. The interpretation of all those things are unique to each singularity. Those vibratory relationships conduct the affairs of the attraction in the creative world about you forever. The difference is humanity has polarity, so it's so worried about its choices and this and that. It fears it's lost, but that in itself is a reality of conditioning that the unconditional has provided us to experience. And that unconditional providing allowed us creators that chose to come into this class of separation an opportunity to see the unconditional in its unknown parts, that we can actually see ourselves not as ourselves, as something outside of ourselves. Forgotten, lost, afraid, suffering, painful, hopeful, needful, wantful, desires. All these things are relationships of that. And in that, we get to wake up to that. And then we have the keys according to our own will, our own truth. That's it. There's nothing special that we have to earn. We have it inside of us. And that is a representation through the ones that do the work of awakening, not to preach and wake up the human collective for a reason because they're in peril. They do it because they want to offer light for no reason. And the light that they offer is only the vibratory expression of their own worthiness. That worthiness is frequency. That frequency is known to others. People call it envy. People call it, oh, I got to be like them. I got to be like them. No, don't be like them. Be like yourself. Go through the thousands of selves of separation, of belief systems, of identity to find the unknown you, and you'll know and remember yourself. You'll be so perfect in your own isness that there's no defending it, there's no negotiating with it, there's only I am, and it doesn't care about what other people think anymore. It doesn't care if this person lost their life or this person didn't lose their life, because there's no death. There's only rooms and thousands of rooms that we just explore forever. And that's phenomenal in itself. And you represent that, don't you, Max?
Yes, let's say that I'm here in this moment experiencing a loss, experiencing a hardship, experiencing a potential, something that, well, it's we always have potentials. Okay, but next there is, let's say, another version of me that is experiencing
Yes.
not the loss. So if here I have the loss, next I have not the loss. So what is the difference from one to the other from the perspective of the creator? Well, there is no difference. Each is an
Bingo.
experience and a perspective, and both are real, both are true. So if I'm here experiencing the loss and I'm there crying to the creator saying, how could you take that away
Bingo.
from me? The creator saying, I didn't.
You didn't take it away. You're choosing it to see that way as loss. Because
Yeah.
whatever you lost was a dependency, an external dependency when you actually created that reality as an experience.
Yeah.
To show you how you relate to reality, which gives you insight to the self. Now, that's a humbling idea. That's very humbling in nature itself. It's embarrassing a lot of times because you see how you react to reality and you're running around trying to fix everything when there's nothing to be fixed, trying to manage everything when there's nothing to be managed. But the ego says you have to manage, you have to fix, you have to do that, and without it, you're a loser, or you're less than, or you're a failure. And all these things are human identities spinning around in a vortex that you choose to stir up with your own energy by focusing on that. But if you don't look at it as loss, you shift your focus, you have a not lost reality. You have this reality. So it doesn't matter which one you choose unless it's up to you, which it is. So the mattering is up to you. So I choose the awesome.
Yeah.
If I choose a reaction self, but it wasn't a reaction self, until a minute later, then I've evolved. I didn't regret, I've evolved. So there is never loss in creation. There's only the wonderful experience of knowing itself. Does the experience of loss feel good? No. But I can tell you this, the experience of joy doesn't feel good in comparison to the nature of isness. Without emotional identity as a way to relate in constant energy, constant work, constant seeking, hunting down and avoiding, hunting happiness, avoiding sadness. But sadness comes every day because it's valuable in polarity. In order for you to experience happiness, you must feel sadness. So if you always use polarity as a means of frequency relationship, you're always going to attract polarity as a means of frequency experience. Get to know your vibration masters.
Yes. And I see now I got feedbacks, and what is right, I have a thought, or I'm having an experience, and through that experience I have an outcome, so I have a potential that I am seeing, and as I am seeing it, I know that that potential is realized. But at the same moment I know that that potential is realized, as where I'm standing right now, I also know that there is also the potential not to realize it. Both are real, both are true, both are happening. Um, so then, as you said, I have a choice. What am I going to choose? And through that choice, how am I going to relate to that outcome? Am I going
You're
to
not going to know.
think about
You're not
it?
going to know it until you choose it. Impossible to
Yes.
know. You can
Yeah,
theorize, but impossible to know. You have to be in the now to know.
exactly.
That's why theory
Exactly.
doesn't
But
work.
yes, but what am I going to do until I get there? I'm going to think about it. I'm going to theorize about it. I'm going to keep myself in that state or
Yes,
not
maybe. Yeah,
through the
yeah.
choice. But I know that through my experience, I know that I can obsess about it and keep thinking and trying to keep myself on track to reach that potential. But I also know now that when I obsess about that potential,
You're lacking it.
then all I'm doing, I'm
You're
lacking.
lacking it.
Yes, so I'm pushing it
Yes,
away.
you're
Yeah,
keeping it at bay, literally. Abraham
yeah.
said it best. Everything
I'm
is trying to get to you. You're the one who's keeping it at bay. That's paraphrasing, but you.
yeah,
So when I see a choice,
yeah.
when I see a choice, and one choice feels good and the other one makes sense, I go with the one that feels good. Not emotionally good, willing good. Now that took me a few years of choosing to get to know the self because I'm going through selves of belief systems that I bought into from my parents, from society and culture. So I got these thousands of little onion layers all over me that I'm peeling away, chipping away from the inside the belief systems I create my personality. The way I perceive my loss, my gain, my needs, my wants, and how I relate to fear, how I create cycles in my life. But I have to start choosing to get to know myself. I can't make it perfect. That's why I brought up how do you know what it's going to be? You don't. You can't make the choice off a theory, or you can. If you do, you're going to get that frequency reaction, that frequency interpretation, that frequency attraction. That's what you're going to get. One of those. Well, two of them, either reaction or interpretation or expression, and then the next attraction comes in. So forget about what it is. What does it feel to you? Does it feel your truth? And then if you recognize that truth as the truth of you, you choose it. And then maybe 3 days down the road, you realize, no, this isn't really me. Good. Now you know you better. You know that better. But how many people are willing to take the chance of screwing up their reality? They're not actually screwing it up. What are they doing, Max? They're evolving. That's what they're doing. They're
Yes.
evolving their
I
reality.
love, I love it. Yeah, I love what you said. I love that. I'm good with what feels good. Yeah,
Damn right.
that's
I got
what.
to know myself through
Yeah,
will,
and
not through emotion. Emotion
yeah,
is easy.
yeah.
I know what feels good in emotion. You do too. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm laughing because without expressing that exactly in that way, um, I'm going through a sort of a decision, but it's not really a decision, but something that is confronting me with a choice. So I do what every well thinking human being will do. I think about
Nothing wrong with that.
it.
You can
Nothing
you can
wrong,
think
right?
all you want.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but then there's the moment where all that, well, I say, well, all this is fine, great, wonderful. But now, decision, right? Decision time. And I had the moment where I said, how does it feel? How is it, that decision? if you come to have to make that decision, what is that you are expressing? And the way you say, well, I go with what feels
Right here.
good, what make me feel,
Yes.
yeah. And that's exactly what it is. It's that I know that I have A or B, and I know which one makes me have that
That fullness, yes.
heart-centered self.
Which does take a while to get used to, because right now everyone is making choices off of emotion. Is it going to make me happy? Is it going to give me an outcome? Is it going to give me a positivity identity when I'm through with it? Success, goals, all those things. Of course we drive for that. That's a human reality. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a way to live and experience. But when you awaken to that self, there's another way. The self that is inside of yourself, this isness that you have to become familiar with, because the only thing you know is separation, and whatever your memory is telling you or is defined that you found valuable in your covets as you rose through the ideas of your age, you know? So, yeah, you feel that self inside and you get familiar with that self. I made enormous amount of choices that were emotional, but at the time they weren't emotional, they were me. Then I realized they were emotional. I became familiar with the aspects of emotion, both positive and negative and everything in between, and learned the relationship and how emotion was depending on things. So when I cut off the dependency of emotion, I was left with myself. And that's when I start to learn and feel and fall in love with me without reason, without cause, without outcome. It's just because I am, and I'm ready to know my own existence once again in this awakening experience. I mean, we're all going to go home. We all wake up to our natural selves, but it's the ride that's the individual choice. And in the meantime, our awakening allows the species to ascend itself beyond itself and take part as the idea of a collective whole once again. But that's just the incarnation. Each singularity is already whole, of course. We're just talking about the collective. And there's a choice idea. Let me talk about this. The choice in time. So let's talk about a choice in time. Something that's offered to you maybe 3 months away, 2 months away, right? You just make the choice and accept it. You feels good. Someone offers you that and says, well, case in point, I have my workshop coming up in September. So I had to decide whether I wanted to do a workshop. So you know what I do? I say, yes, I do want to do a workshop. It took me a while to get to that point, to be ready to do the workshop. I wanted to experience myself as, is it my truth? So I didn't react and say, yeah, let's do a workshop when it was first suggested. I still needed to know if it was my vibratory state of, I would enjoy doing a workshop, offering some of these ideas of the, uh, the things that I found in, the curriculum I wrote, the School of Recognition, and then the School of Transcendence. Bring some of these ideas together. Do I want to do a workshop on that? Yes, I do. So now the attraction has been vibratory, yes, and that's the truth of me. So guess what? Here comes the opportunities on having the workshop. One thing makes them, this makes it known, this makes it known, this is here, and all of a sudden the workshop is on. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Why does my microphone keep falling down? I'm going to get a new microphone. I am. You know what I'm going to do, Max? What? I'm going to get a new microphone. I've already made that choice. So in those ideas of waiting for things to happen, you can feel that now. If it changes, it changes. But don't sit there and put it over to the side and I don't want to make that decision because I don't know enough about it. You don't need to know enough about it. That's the thinking if it's going to be measured in the right way. There's no loss in reality. There's no consequence in reality. There's no good or better. Those are things that are perceived as valuable, as loss, as good or better by the fractal itself, measuring its reality according to its own polarized scale that it covets and uses as a supply or a standard on how to navigate its reality and its choices, right? So when you look at choice in the future, if it feels good now, say, yeah, that feels good. If it doesn't feel good now, say, no, I'm okay with not doing that. But if it comes back around and now you do feel good about it, say, okay, now I feel good about it. You don't have to hold yourself accountable in time. Fucking humanity does that all the time. Here's a guy commits a crime, he's a felon. And that felon's got to be a felon for the rest of his life. So he's got to carry around that badge of honor because he's a felon. So that because people say, oh, you're a felon. So people accept that identity. I'm a felon. So now I have to remain a felon. So wherever they go, that follows them. And they don't have to accept
Oh
that
yeah.
idea. They don't have to accept that idea. Society can accept that idea, but they don't have to, and they can vibrate out of that frequency. And they'll create a world where the felon is not an issue at all. You know? So all of those
Yeah.
ideas are choices. We don't need to rely on time. You can choose now and change your mind tomorrow or the next day. You're not held accountable for your actions in the past, and you're not held accountable for your actions in the future. The only thing is you are held to yourself in the now. Where are you in the equation of the now? That's the self you need to start using and get used to and become familiar with, and have
Yes.
the adaptability to accept your changes along the way. And say, holy shit, this is no longer myself. Great self, thanks for using me, or thanks for allowing me to use you to get to here. Now I'm birthing. Bye bye. That self goes away, and now you're here. That's change.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
It's an outstanding is experiencing you and seeing your evolution in the last months. It's outstanding. Yes, that's
It
the word.
is.
Because that's observing you, and there is that uh, perceiving that, going from the anger self and expressing that, being right, being often there in your lives, and that, those things that you are doing, and now I'm here now exchanging with you, and when you say that, I realize, yeah, look at the evolution, and how now you, the vibration that I get back from you is really a completely different
Bingo.
experience.
Because I'm not the same person, and I'm not trying to be the person I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm being the person that I now, and that's evolutionary. So that's why I had to be that person. I couldn't avoid that person. If I would have avoided that person, I would have kept that person. I have to transcend those identities by living them and being them, but from the observer, while I'm being it, recognizing myself and be willing to change. And when the change comes, accepting that change, accepting the new self, accepting I can be this new self without effort. It's so natural, you know. It's like a scorpion doesn't have to try to be a scorpion. It is a frog, a tree. They're all
Yes.
their natures in themselves. Humans create identities, not the nature of itself, for the experience. So until you know all the selves that you are by the nature of the fractal, then you're never going to know yourself, because you're still employing all of the fractal selves through the mind of separation, through the mind of intent, through the mind of humanity. Nothing wrong with that. But when you recognize that, you have to transcend those. And the only way to transcend them is not to avoid them or squash them, is become them. Then
Yeah.
you live the experience in its absolute vastness of being the fullness of those vibratory states. How epic, how masterful a journey it is to
Yes.
become every state of being as an awakener and live it for the experience of the singularity. True masters, we all are.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yes, but not
No,
avoiding
right.
it, right? It's, I've been told, oh, but I don't want to be that, or that's a memory. I don't want to have a memory, or things like that. No, be it. Don't avoid it. It's you're missing that expression, that self, that moment that you are creating for yourself. By avoiding it, you are not having the experience. Yeah, maybe true, it's memory, it's something, it's whatever. True. However, it's there. And if it's there, experience it. Experience it. Because there's a discovery for you there. That there's you there. A identity, a expression, a something that you need to see, you need to experience. Or how can you discover more of you if you don't see that one?
Exactly. You have to be what
And
you are in the now.
you are not failing it.
You have to
Yeah.
embrace it. I'm enough right now to accept this belief system that is me, that I'm creating out of a state of separation. If I start to know it intelligently through surrender, through transfiguration, through allowance, my recognition of that expression is telling me this isn't me. I don't need to avoid it. Now I know it's not me, so I won't enact that self of anger anymore. I'm vibrating at a different frequency. I've evolved. It's not hard. It's choice. The hard part is
Yeah.
going through it. That's difficult
Sure, yeah.
as far as the emotional part, but it's truly effortless because all it is choice. Choice to accept, choice to allow, choice to surrender, reacting, then the choice of recognizing your reaction, being brutally honest and saying, that's me, that's my bullshit. I chose this over this when I knew this is better for me in the idea of my own evolution, but it was too much, so I chose the fractal self, and that's okay too. I'm okay with that. Now I can have an opportunity to make another change when that opportunity is shown. And I won't hesitate. Why? Because I love me. I deserve it. When you know there's no one in charge of reality, creation, when you know there's no consequence, there's no punishment, there's no needs, wants, and desires, when you know your existence is eternal in the now, you're indestructible, the only thing you're going to do is keep going. That gives you an idea. It's like, wow, man, I can really figure things out here. I'm okay doing this work now, and find out about this life, literally from the inside out, not from the outside in. The outside is a reflection of time, which is a reflection of the human experience, offering vibrational frequencies of the constant identity that we feed ourselves in the luxury of knowing that fulfillingness, our fillingness of worth through these shored up ideas of dependencies that we've created. Jobs, money, appearances, these external ideas, these are not wrong. They are wonderful ways to experience conditioned reality, separation. This is what we, as a master idea, our master class that we've created here. We've created these ideas as a part of the experience. How can you ever judge anything about that other than beyond epic, immeasurable mastery, what we've done?
Yes. And we were talking recently that I've seen that fullness of creation, the presence and the abundance and all of that is right now, and how I'm keeping myself in a in some sort of blindness that I'm creating. I'm giving myself that experience where now I realize that I'm choosing to experience myself in a way that allows me layer after layer after layer to take away those blinds. But I know that I cannot take them that away at once. It's experiential. It's going. It's in my experience, in the allowance and in the acceptance of it, that I'm changing that. However, I also know that I am not in control of that. So I'm not focusing myself into changing that relationship with what I'm perceiving, because I know that that changes anyway. So I don't need to manage it. But I'm doing it nevertheless because I'm changing myself through my choices of relating to me, through my choices of discovering the self that I'm expressing. And that is molding a different experience,
Yes.
but always not through control. I know that if I try to control this, then I'm expressing my lack because I'm saying, well, I want to change this. And if I say I want to change this, I'm saying, well, it's not the way it ought to be. So I'm saying, well,
I'm
I'm
lacking the
lacking.
reality because I'm judging myself because I think it should be different. And that's just a recognition of
Yeah,
the reaction self in and of itself, which will give you opportunity to not choose that self and allow yourself to see reality play out in the unknown way. That you can live,
yeah,
you're going to still be here, and everything is going to be fine without controlling your reality, which is a big one because most people dine, literally dine on the buffet of control. They really like to control. They control their family, they control their work, they control all these things because it gives them identity, gives them worth. Without that, they're worthless, and that leaves themselves vulnerable and exposed to their own existence that is as is. Can you imagine just being as is with no reason? How people would go ape shit
yeah,
about that? It's like, my God, you got to be something. What do you do? What do you
yeah,
all these things though? We're gonna get diarrhea of the mouth to tell them this is why you should like me. This is why I'm awesome, and I can control reality, and I can make these things happen. And look at me, look at me. Well, wait a minute. You're enough as it is. You're enough because without you, I can't exist because of law. And the other thing is people want to change, but change is constant. That's a law. We just don't see the change because we're looking
yeah,
for the particulars of our emotional status to say that would be a good change, that would be a bad change. So we're doing everything we can to go after and avoid the change, which keeps the change of the now constant in the idea of lack. So you're always going to get your lack and that frequency, that willing frequency of constant lackful change.
yeah. What do people say? Be the change that you want, right? Um, you have to change or all of that.
I don't know what they
But
say.
I'm changing anyway. Yeah, they say be the change. Very often you hear people say be the change, or they quote, be the change that you want in the world. I want to change the world.
The
Let me
world?
change this kind of
Oh, the
things.
world.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course. They always want to change the world. Yeah. um, and I've uh, and yeah, I remember being like that, wanting to change uh, the climate change, the
Sure,
problems,
we can do that.
wars,
You
and
can
all
do
of
that in
that.
your own little bubble. That doesn't
Yeah,
change the world, it only changes your bubble.
exactly. Now I realize that those things happen anyway, right? They are
Yeah.
happening, and they are also changing, and they are doing all of that without me participating into it. So I don't need to focus, I don't need to give into that. Change is happening anyway, so I don't need to be the change.
You're
I am
representing the change
change.
of self. That's what enlighteners do. They
Exactly.
represent the change
Yeah,
of the internal relationship to reality. The reality is unconditional, the fractal's conditioned. Change to the unconditional self, you allow other people's the idea of change. They change themselves to become enlightened through your representation of enlightenment, your worthiness. It might take form in someone going out and changing the environment, lobbying down in Washington or around the world with the UN, but they're doing it because they can't help it. They're not doing it because they're mad at the world. They're not doing it because the world's in peril. They're doing it because what they are. That's their truth. That's their idea.
yeah.
Stay in your
Their
lane.
experience.
Mind your business. Find what's
Yeah,
passionate to you, not in purpose and passion.
yeah. That's what I also realize is that um, yes, I want to change that. However, that is not in my reality right now. So, what am I going to do?
You can
Nothing.
preach. You can do what you want.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
can
choice of the self. You
do
have to get to
whatever you
know that
want.
self.
Yeah,
You have to take it away from the
yeah,
external and start looking at the internal journey.
yeah. And it's a it's a choice. And I realize how I've seen how little I I came right. I was aware of the impact of a choice and how everything is choice. It is. Even choosing to stop smoking is a choice. It's not a hardship. It's not oh, it's difficult. I cannot. I'm so it's something I always done this. How can I stop it? You choose to stop. It's a
But hang on
choice.
now.
Or
Hang
you
on, hang
choose to
on.
keep.
You can't choose out of lack, though. See, people want to, well, what
No,
if
no,
you got
no,
to
no,
say
no.
that then? Because you're speaking to an audience that doesn't know.
Yes.
They just can't say, I choose to quit smoking when their entire will is loving the smoke. They have reasons to smoke. They have to
Yes.
understand their relationship to smoking before they can make the choice.
Yes.
Make sure they know that.
Absolutely.
We got a great audience
Yeah.
that wants to understand creation. Give them the tools.
Yeah.
You just can't command it. I'm going to quit when every
No,
fiber of
no,
your
no.
being says, I don't want to quit. But the doctor says, and they say, and this said. I smoked for 35 years. Once I understood my relationship with smoking, I just stopped. I was like, okay, I'm done. I made the choice, and it was effortless. Every choice before that was for other
Yeah.
reasons, for people, for the reason of becoming better, which is a lackful choice. Therefore, it became a fucking effort. So I didn't do it until I knew.
Yeah.
Know that. Teach that. Choice is an awareness of self, not a reaction for the future. That's when the choice becomes effortless. That's when the unknown self and the known self blend as casual as the day is, as the sunrise and the sunset. It's always there. It's that casual. Make sure you know
Yeah.
that you just can't make a choice. You have to understand the choice, the relationship to it,
To relationship and all
vibration
of that.
behind
Yeah.
it. So when I chose to stop being angry, it's because I couldn't help it. It's like I'm not going to choose this anymore.
You
I
knew
knew,
yourself.
but
You
if I would have
understood.
kept
Yeah.
on saying, "Wow, maybe I shouldn't be angry. Maybe I shouldn't yell. Maybe I shouldn't do that," that would have been a choice of the fractal to make myself better. I shouldn't do that because people are saying, "Why do you do this?" Make sense? It's the same thing. Just because if it's
Yeah.
smoking
Yeah.
or choosing or drinking or doing anything identified, it has to be understood by the singularity in its fullness through acceptance and surrender and recognition of itself. That's transcendence, not effort, not affirmations,
Yeah.
not a choice to do that. I'm not saying you can't. You can. You can do that. That's the human way, and it is very valuable. But there's another way.
Yes. And when you realize and are able to make that choice without effort,
Yes.
well, then you have a choice.
Yeah.
Because still it's a
Still, it's a
choice,
choice.
right? You are not obliged. If you want, you can stay angry. It's a choice too, available to you. It's not better
It's
or
a
worse.
choice.
It's a choice.
That right there is key.
That's
It's monumental. You have a
yeah.
reason right now to choose. Can you imagine choosing for no reason? It was so natural and so effortless. You know?
Yeah.
Bingo.
It's so
It's all
monumental.
vibration screaming at you
Fantastic.
from all directions. Here's your truth. Here's your potential of change. You know?
Yeah, and I think that it's one thing that I still want to say is that the discovery of vibration, how to apply it or how does it right? How is it in my life, my choice, in my relationships? These things are not, we are not going to get all of it at once. It's something that it's just coming with experience, with
It's a
doing it,
journey.
with being in it, with
It's a
allowing it.
journey.
It's a journey.
It's never
Don't
instant. Bingo.
expect,
Great point. That's the unwillingness to travel
because
through this journey. If you put
Yeah.
it in the idea of time, take away time. If you have the eternal now, what's the rush? Where's the finish line when there is no finish? That's where the mastery. Part of it is to just do it. Make those choices in the journey to evolve yourself and see the beauty of your own awakening. It doesn't look
Yeah.
grandiose, and it's not emotionally satisfying at all. It's a brutal deconstruction of self, birthing the self, but the presence of self becoming known is priceless, is immeasurable. The I am.
And if you are,
Go.
yeah, and if you are taken by the thing, say, oh, how am I? Well, I'm not going to get this in this life. Well, it's not about this life or next life.
About
It's
the now.
still life. It's always
The
life. The
life,
now.
the life
It's
of
the
now,
right?
you can enrich beyond the ideas of what you're supposed to achieve. And if you're really good, if you're really humble, you can look back at all your achievements and know that they are lackful. They're quickly diminished. The achievement might feel good for a few days, then you're empty, and then you go and do it again. That's a cycle. That's not wrong. That's what you can do. You can do that. But there's another way.
Yeah.
It's not to achieve, it's to become. And then the achievement goes away because
Yeah,
the feeling
exactly.
of your own existence is beyond measure than any idea of success would ever bring in an emotional content of that relationship, that emotional relationship to being a goal achiever, successful. That'll dwindle in comparison to the isness that you are as a constant state of being.
Yeah. I am is not thinking, it's not relationship, is not trying to express it.
Being.
It's a state of being.
I think our time's up.
And once you are, you are. Right. Yes, let's get out of here. We're yes.
Let's skip the light fandango.
Thank you for joining us.
Time to go. Until next week, though.
Time to go. Until next week, and we thank you for joining, and so great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone out there listening, go rock your reality. Don't be afraid to fuck it up. We'll find you. You're worth the journey. All right, guys. Thanks for coming.